Hey everybody, it's Dr. Steve and I'm in my car and I'm with a dear friend, Bishop Boniface Shonga. We had such a short time. I'm driving him over to a meeting here in Colorado where he serves as the global president of our mission organization, EMIT, and we just took the time we could in the car. Bishop, would you just welcome my students and tell them briefly about yourself?
Hi everyone, God bless you guys. I'm Boniface Shonga from the country of Zambia, somewhere in the southern part of Africa, and I'm here to attend the board meeting for our organization, which also Dr. Stephen is a part of, and it's just great for me to be able to share some thoughts as we are enjoying this ride together in the car going to our next engagement.
Bishop Shonga, you have had a unique opportunity to be in the inner circles of your government. You've been friendly with and colleagues with several of the presidents.
Yeah.
You have sat in those meetings. What would you say about the Christians, the church's responsibility to speak truth to power, to be a prophetic voice to power, rather than seeing the government power as a way of just expanding the church, but seeing your responsibility to speak even prophetically to power?
Absolutely, I understand your question. You know, I would use the example of John the Baptist. You know, he had to confront Herod with some very unpleasant, things. I mean, he was a ruler who was, professing to be a follower of God, I mean, so to say, but yet his actions were at variance with, his confession. And John doesn't mince his words when he's talking to Herod, and he says, you cannot do this kind of a thing. You've abused your authority. You've gone over the boundary. You cannot take your brother's wife, and treat her almost as though she was your wife. And this is a gross error. The king was very angry with that. And, it led to...
It cost his life.
It cost John his life. And, there's nothing that is more dangerous than when a church begins to appease political leadership. In fact, to me, probably the most dangerous, time for the church is when the church begins to appease political leadership, because we lose the essence of who we are really representing. John was very clear. He was representing God, and he spoke prophetically the will of God, even if it was unpleasant in the ears of the leadership in his day. And I think the church is at its strongest and at its best when it knows whom it represents and stays on that lane and does not seek to appease the powers that be. After all authority, that comes and goes. They come and go, and it is at God's pleasure. And we cannot subscribe, to individual personalities, but we must really always understand our allegiance is to God and to God alone.
Wow. Without betraying any confidentiality, which I know you have there been times in your ministry where you have been able to be a prophetic voice to leaders of the nation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I have, and I've had even the privilege of speaking to our current head of state, to share the truth about certain developmental agendas, because he was asking about developmental agendas to do with the area of the country where I come from, and we were speaking and sharing ideas, and we just have to be factual and say what needs to be said, because remember that our leaders are also our congregants. They are our members. They go to some church somewhere, and they do need to hear the counsel of God, and we need, the moment we begin to muffle up and sort of try and speak things that would be pleasant in their ears,
or be impressed with them.
Then we have stopped representing God.
Wow.
And it will make it difficult for us to be able to say some of the things God would have us say. And that's when the church begins to watch even lower standards, but can say nothing because they've already condescended or just sort of subscribed themselves to the status quo. And it becomes very difficult then to clearly point out and say, this is the way the nation should go on. This is what we should do. And I think John is a good example of that the voice of God must remain undiluted, unpolluted, untainted, and must not be tied up to appeasing the status quo.
Oh, thank you so much, Bishop.
You're welcome.